My life with the Lord kind of has two parts to it. I grew up in an alcoholic, dysfunctional family. My mom and my dad both remarried multiple times. My sister and I's lives were torn apart. So it started out with problems to begin with, and then I dropped out of school when I was 15. I was pregnant. I got married and divorced, and then married and divorced again. I just had so many problems from not knowing the right things to do and not knowing how to have a normal relationship with someone. But I managed to pull my life together enough to go back and finish school, and got my bachelor's, and then I got my master's, and I went to WSU for a while to work on my PhD. But still, I had the relationship problems in my life and was married multiple times. And then I met my husband, and he was also an alcoholic drug addict at the time. I ended up going to church with a friend who asked me to come with her. I ended up getting saved, and my life just went uphill from there on out. My husband got saved and delivered from drugs and alcohol, and he started a Christian-based NA group. I found myself talking with so many people who wanted to hear how I lived through his addictions, how his life affected me, and how did being a Christian help me live through that. I found myself talking on the phone more and more. And so my pastor's son and I started a group, and it was a very big group, and it lasted for several months actually. My life was going really well with my husband, and then I really started falling away from the Lord, and I ended up having an affair. I left my husband and my family. I just ended up in some very destructive lifestyles for a while. About a year into it, my husband went back to using drugs and alcohol, and he died of a drug overdose. I became very suicidal after my husband died. I bought the burial plot next to him, and I bought a gun and was going to end my life, and I just stayed severely depressed for a long period of time. That was 20 years ago. It was never the same after that. I couldn't live with the guilt and the shame of what I had done and the consequences it had on my children and the consequences in my life. My life just stayed in a mess for a period of time. I could not get over the depression. I saw a counselor and went on medication. I tried everything to feel better inside, and nothing worked. Eventually I felt like God was chasing me down because a lot of coincidental things started happening. I was watching a television broadcast one night on a Christian channel. This very popular preacher just turned to the camera and pointed his finger, and he said, "You out there on your couch in your living room, God loves you and wants you back, and whatever you have done can be forgiven." I felt like, oh my God, somebody's in my living room. I was at work one day, and a friend of mine invited me to River City Church for Easter service. The service really moved me. I felt an incredible rush in my heart about God and missing Him, and all the guilt and fear and shame that I had just came rushing out, and I rededicated my life to the Lord. But I couldn't get rid of the shame and the guilt and the pain that I felt from everything that I had done. And then I started women's Bible studies, and I cried through the first year of women's Bible studies. Had it not been for the women who were in there who helped me, I wouldn't be here today. Prayed with me, helped me, made me feel welcome, made me feel at home here, really helped me on that process to finally forgiving myself, because that's what I needed to do. I needed to understand, and I just couldn't get it through my head that Jesus forgave me, that He died for all the sins that I committed, not just the ones when I was younger. And then there was a word in church one day which really kind of struck me. It was kind of a funny one, but he said that God knows your whole life. He knows where you've been. He knows where you're going. He knows everything about your life. And it isn't like something happened and God didn't know it. It's not like God said, whew, didn't see that one coming. And that just really struck a chord with me. And I thought, I need to forgive myself because Jesus has forgiven me and my sins are under the blood. And that was the turning point for me. And I was able, after that, to let go more and more. It's still a healing process for me because of the consequences that I live with every day. But I have peace about my life going forward. And I feel like somehow God can use me again. My name is Norma, and I have been changed.